Good evening and welcome to Mayor Mike Nelson's 2021 State of the City Address. My name is Schubert Ho, and I'm pleased to offer introductory remarks for tonight's address. If you don't know me, I'm the co-owner of Feed Me Hospitality and Restaurant Group, and we own a few restaurants here in Edmonds: Bar Dojo, Salt and Iron, the Market Fishmonger and Eatery, Sunkai Sushi, and most recently, Fire in the Feast. 2020 was a year like no other, not just for my business as we pivoted from dine-in to takeout, but also for my family. My wife is a teacher in the Edmonds School District, so her world drastically changed, as did the day-to-day experience for our two school-aged daughters. And our experience was very similar to most everyone else's. Nobody's lives were unchanged in 2020, and some of us struggled in unimaginable ways and suffered great losses. And yet I saw our community rally in incredible ways. People came out to support small businesses across the city, including mine. I saw business owners partner to find creative ways to help one another, as well as our most vulnerable citizens. And I saw our city leaders create programs and resources like streeteries and business grants to help our businesses, while also using federal CARES funding to help our local restaurants in need. 2021 will still have its fair share of challenges for small business owners and for our entire community as we move toward recovery on many fronts after the effects of the pandemic. And in that vein, tonight's State of the City address is a chance for us to come together as a community and listen to our mayor as he offers his thoughts on how we can move forward together in this new year. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to now introduce to you the first State of the City address for Mayor Mike Nelson.
Thank you very much, Schubert. And good evening to everybody at home. I am very sorry we can't be doing this in person, but I am hopeful that this year we will be able to. So first, I want to acknowledge other elected officials that are here virtually, our city council members, who are really just so crucial, important, and vital to our city. They are some of the most dedicated people I know, and I know how deeply they care for our city. And I just want to thank them for their service to us and to you. Tonight, I want to talk to you about the future of our city. But first, I want to recognize how much our future is being shaped by our recent past. 2020 is a year we will never forget. We will never forget those we have lost in our city, in our nation, through this pandemic. This pandemic has forced us into a place we had never planned, never wanted. It has spread fear for the lives of our loved ones, fear of the unknown. This pandemic was new to you. It was new to me too. Just over 2 months on the job as a new mayor, our county had the first case of COVID that would soon sweep into an outbreak across our nation. In the beginning of the disaster, the response resources at the county, state, and federal level were completely overwhelmed because we were all needing help at the exact same moment. Nobody had PPE, and a cold realization quickly came over me. We were on our own, forced to make unimaginable decisions to help protect our residents, closing our businesses, our city buildings, our playgrounds, our cemeteries. Each day I asked myself, how can I protect our city, our residents, our employees, my family, my boys, the lives we've had lost and the ones we will still. 408,000 Americans and counting. COVID has also exposed wounds that we have never healed. Racism and discrimination of Black people and other people of color in every city of our nation, including ours. This virus has taken a toll on all of us. It has changed how we view relationships, how we interact. We learned isolation does not bring out our better angels. Human connections do. But despite the isolation, anger, and feelings of hopelessness, we never gave up on each other. In the face of it, Edmonds carried on. In the face of it, we kept our city running. Our employees never stopped working to keep our residents safe. We found safe ways to keep our businesses open, safe ways to help teach our children, safe ways to communicate to each other, safe ways to govern. Our city supported our seniors, our most vulnerable, our businesses, our children. We helped pay for rent, utilities, food for struggling families. We gave grants to over 150 small businesses all over our city. And our residents stepped up too. I know they ordered more takeout in 1 year probably than they have their entire life to keep our restaurants afloat, like Schubert's. Now, I want to share with you a photo slide that in spite of all that was thrown at us, our city came together as a community and carried on.
This virus exposed our vulnerabilities, but it also forced us to see what is most important. It is not material things, it is our people. It is our compassion for others, those who are struggling. It's about making investments in our future to build us all up and to not continue to keep some of us down. One example I want to share with you is a city program that we created during COVID. We saw firsthand the challenges that school closures had on children and how disproportionately it was impacting women, an expectation that was placed on working moms that they could just somehow give up their work and now stay home to teach their kids. Using CARES funding, we created the Learning Enhancement Activity Program to provide on-site recreation that supports academic efforts for local school-age youth, while the Edmonds School District maintained their distant learning. This program repurposed our Francis Anderson Center to support children in both second through sixth grade, to make sure parents have support. It provided scholarship to those families in need. And I just want to share with you a couple comments from parents who had their children in this program and still do to this day. One family said their son loves it there and it has been so helpful. Another said it was a lifesaver for their family. A daughter who could not have continued without the scholarship we provided. And another whose daughters thrived and was doing well and improving in reading. Our program helped Edmonds families, children in need, families who could not afford childcare, single moms. This program made things a little easier and a little less burdensome on the lives of those who are already struggling. Now, I want to transition and share with you the priorities I am focusing on this year to make our community better and more livable. These priorities are Highway 99 renewal, helping our most vulnerable, taking action to promote equity and inclusion, expanding our parks and protecting our open spaces, and supporting our local economy. First, it starts with a part of town that many have feel has been treated like second class, our neighbors along Highway 99. This year, we are designing a safer highway, a more welcoming highway, building a center median that's planted with trees, signs to welcome those who travel this section of roadway every day, a new place for our pedestrians to cross safely. And I just want to now pause to show you here of a recent artist rendering, the latest design, just a snapshot, if you will, of this project. It is not just a roadway, it's a neighborhood. And we want to begin to have a community renewal plan this year that sets the stage for future redevelopment of properties along Highway 99, particularly along the southern corridor, where problems of crime, graffiti, nuisances, code violation, and general disinvestment persist. Local residents and businesses will have input. We want to identify and fix these immediate problems, not just let them carry on, but we need your help to do it. This will include potentially replacing abandoned buildings, buying derelict property, getting rid of cleaning up trash and graffiti. Whatever it is that's interfering with the safe, livable neighborhood you should have. And because it's a neighborhood, and to assist in helping make sure how we as a city government can focus more on not how you come to us, but how we can come to you, and to serve our underserved populations, we hope to open a satellite office on Highway 99, a place where we can connect with you to city services, respond to city concerns, and be a community resource. I've already directed our staff to find existing office space for rent so that we can hopefully open this year as soon as it is safe to do so. Next, I want to talk about helping our most vulnerable. Long before the virus, housing prices skyrocketed and housing shortages abound. Long before the virus, many Edmonds residents were one paycheck away from homelessness. COVID has exacerbated this situation and reinforced the long-term need for our city to do more. We have been successful in helping those most in need with CARES funding, but that is just the beginning. This year, thanks to our City Council's collaboration and funding support, we are creating a new human services program that will include a full-time social worker. This program and funding will help our seniors, those who are housing unstable and unsheltered, and prevent those from becoming homeless in the first place. Another area I am prioritizing is taking action to promote equity and inclusion. Not addressing racism and injustice will not make these moral wrongs go away or make things right. I know a lot of us had the fortunate to hear Amanda Gorman. She's was the youth poet laureate at the president's inauguration who spoke. And there's this one line she said in her poem that I think really resonates with me and where we are. Quote, "We learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice." End quote. Keeping things just the way they are is not good enough. Last year, I commissioned the Equity and Justice Task Force to help inform me and my administration about all the implicit or explicit forms of social injustice or bias that might exist in city government and identify specific ways we can be supportive to the Black community. This is our opportunity to rebuild in a way that achieves greater inclusion, equity, fairness, and dignity for all members of our society, especially Black people and those who've been disproportionately oppressed, as well as other marginalized populations. The task force has been diligently working on a report this year, and they hope to finalize at the end of this month. Recommendations will likely include citywide equity, social justice toolkit, and a work plan for our city to follow. Now you might think, social equity and justice toolkit, oh, that sounds nice, Mike. What does that really mean? It's kind of a big deal. What this toolkit will do is it will impact every major decision our city makes, and we will look through the lens of how does it impact equity. And that is something historically we have never done. Next, I want to talk about some new grant funding that will be available this year through our Arts Commission that focuses on the challenges faced by the arts to address social concerns about diversity and equity, as well as an effort that I would like to make sure we honor our Indigenous people in a more meaningful way. And I've asked our Parks Department to begin developing a community event in October, as well as commissioning a new piece of public art to celebrate and honor local Indigenous people of our region. Next, I want to talk about expanding our parks and open spaces. We see the benefits of spending time in our local parks and open spaces, places to walk, to breathe, to soak in the natural beauty that surrounds us, to have gathering spaces. Now we have an open space land acquisition funding to help purchase tracts of private land, undeveloped, thriving with nature, or restore land to a natural space. And this is not just limited to land, but also our coastline. How can we expand our coastal boundaries to protect more of our marine environment? This year, we're also going to be updating our strategic plan for managing and enhancing our parks, open space, trails, and recreation opportunities. But our community cannot be more livable without taking care of the land and water we inhabit. Recently, a new report was released by our statewide showing the shortage of salmon due to development and pollution. Recovering salmon habitat requires both restoration and protection measures. Salmon need clean water to survive. And cities have developed the amount of paving and hard surfaces has increased. Today, stormwater runoff and these hard surfaces is polluting our Puget Sound and impacting our waters. To combat this pollution of our waterways, we are bringing in an outside assistance this year to review our policies and procedures to make our city salmon safe. Pursuing a salmon safe certification through an assessment of city policies, planning, operation, and development related to watershed and salmon habitat for Puget Sound water quality. And our very own Edmonds Marsh is a perfect case study in the need for that other thing we need to do to protect salmon, which is habitat restoration. We are exploring all options, including state legislation, as well as aid from state agencies and our governor to help clean up and restore our marsh. This year, we're beginning a smaller restoration efforts for the part of the marshland that we do own. We are completing regulatory permitting so that we can have voluntary restoration work this year. Next, I want to talk about our local economy and our continued support of our local businesses. The housing market right now and construction continue to be strong during this pandemic. With double-digit increases in sales over year, we are projecting a very strong economy during the coming year. The city of Edmonds finished this year in a strong position financially and is well positioned for 2021. We will likely see more people working from home, as some people used to commute to Seattle or Everett will continue to work from home, and so they will likely spend less money in those cities and more money in ours. And if we're going to get through, if we're able to get through the severe COVID restrictions that we had in 2020 and see virtually no drop in our sales tax revenue, this points to a relatively stable local economy that should only improve in 2021. Our real estate excise tax revenues came in 10% higher last year and 20% higher than budgeted. Sales of real estate continue to be strong and look positive for the outlook, positive in 2021. And as we look to find ways to continue to support our local businesses, we are now, happy to share information from our Edmonds colleges to help our employees and our businesses who've been impacted through job loss or reduction in hours, to let them know that there is important resources for them there, that they can pivot in these difficult times to get new education, certificates, and training, as well as We know the Biden administration is working on a $1.9 trillion economic rescue package that will include stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment aid, rental assistance and eviction moratorium, and particularly more aid for small businesses. These are all positive things that will benefit Edmonds. And finally, one area of businesses that in our town that has gotten some unique support was Main Street. It has always been a natural place to gather, shop, and eat. COVID reminded us of the importance of open spaces. We saw how much our community enjoyed pedestrian-friendly Main Street last summer. And as we approach this summer, I will be working with our businesses to help make our pedestrian-friendly downtown a permanent feature. In summary, we've been through a heck of a lot, and we have much work to do. I am committed to help make our community better. We will start making Highway 99 more livable. We will help our most vulnerable residents. We will be more equitable and inclusive. We will protect our parks and open spaces. We will continue to support our local businesses. We are going to beat this virus. And more vaccine is delivered and administered month by month, day by day, bit by bit. This tidal wave that hit us will rescind. We are going to get through this. Our kids are going to go to school again. Our businesses will fully reopen. New jobs will be created. We will gather together again. Because although our connections to each other help spread this virus, it is also our connections to each other that will save us. Better days are before us, and this is our moment to seize it. Thank you, and good night. Be safe.